For being here tonight. For those who don't know me, my name is Benji Gershon. I'm the founder and president of American Jewish Conservatives. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. So on behalf of our entire organization, I want to thank each and every one of you for being here. This sold out crowd says something very powerful about Texans. We care deeply about our state, our freedom, and the rule of law, and we show up when it counts. Am I right? Yes. We are gathered in an important moment for our state. Texas stands on the front lines of national battles that affect every family, from securing our border and defending the rule of law, to combating the Islamification of Texas, to safeguarding election integrity and protecting our God-given rights. The Office of Attorney General is not just another statewide role, it is the legal backbone of Texas. It shapes how boldly and how effectively we defend our sovereignty, our values, and our freedoms. And tonight, you the voters, get to hear directly from the leaders who want to take on that responsibility. We're proud to bring together candidates who we will introduce here in just a few moments, who have each demonstrated a commitment to conservative principles and a fighting spirit for Texas. Aaron Reitz, Senator Joan Huffman, Senator Mays Milton, and Congressman Chip Roy. These candidates represent a depth of experience and conviction that reflects the very best of Texas. We are also grateful to have an excellent moderator with us here tonight, RNC Committeewoman Debbie Georgiados, a woman whose voice for truth, courage, and constitutional conservatism inspires audiences across Texas and across the country, and I'll be introducing her shortly in a few moments as well. I want to take a moment to thank our platinum sponsor, Don Huffines, for Texas Comptroller, and all of our event sponsors and partners who help make tonight possible. Your support empowers us to continue bringing high-impact, meaningful programming to Texans who value faith, freedom, and America First principles. Most importantly, thank you all for being here, the audience, our members, supporters, and fellow patriots. American Jewish Conservatives exist to unite Jewish and Christian conservatives, to stand boldly for our shared values, and to build a movement that influences policy, culture, and leadership at every level. Nights like this are part of that mission, and your presence here makes this work possible. So thank you all very much. So tonight, listen closely, engage, think critically. We are at a moment in Texas history where leadership matters, not just in words, but in action. And the next Attorney General will play a defining role in shaping the future of our state. So before we begin our program this evening, I'd like to kindly invite my friend Barry Warnick to come on up and lead us in the U.S. and Texas pledges. If you all would please rise.
Where do I stand for right here? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor the Texas flag. Allegiance to the protected, one and indivisible.
Thank you. Thank you. You may be seated. So at this time, I'd like to invite any conservative candidates in attendance to please come on down and very quickly introduce yourself to our audience. Give a quick elevator pitch to our audience. I know we have several candidates here. Please come on down. Don't be bashful.
Howdy, everybody. My name is Michael Slaughter. I'm running for the Precinct 2 County Commissioner seat in Collin County. Thank you so much for being here.
I'm Woody Huffines. I'm running for the Collin County Commissioner in Precinct 4. So Michael and I can make some changes.
Good evening. My name is retired Lieutenant Colonel Larry Brockett. I'm running for House District 106, which is the east side and the north side of Denton County. I fully support Benji and his great organization, and that's because of Genesis 12:3. I will bless those that bless thee. So thank you.
Hey everyone, my name is Sanjay Narayan. I'm running to be your next state representative for House District 108. I'm running against the incumbent Morgan Meyer, who's established one of the most liberal voting records in the entire legislature. I want to cut your property taxes by ending Robin Hood. Make sure they end all the subsidies for wind and solar. Make sure we produce more oil, gas, nuclear power. End the magnets for illegal immigration in our state, like in-state tuition, make mandatory verify, and be a champion for our shared conservative values that Benji and AJC stand for. I oppose the sham impeachment of Ken Paxton, and we need a Speaker of the House who's backed by our Republican Party. So please go to sanjay4texas.com. I appreciate all your support.
Good evening, folks. My name is Matt Thorson. I'm running for House District 67 against the incumbent Jeff Leach. We're the northeast side, Collin County. I'm going to go in and help our conservatives stop spending your money. So thank you.
Good evening, folks. My name is Jeff Forrester, and I'm running for Texas House District number 89. I'm running to end property taxes. I'm running to give you your money back, stop the frivolous spending, and shrink our government. We don't need government in everything we do. What we need is common sense. I'm your candidate. Thank you, folks.
Good evening. I'm Colleen Aguilar Epstein. I'm running for the special election on January 31st for Plano City Council Place 7. And I need signatures on the ballot, so if you live in Plano, come catch me. Hi, everyone. I'm Rosalie Escobedo, and I'm here for State Representative David Lowe, House District 91. He was ranked number 2 from Texans for Fiscal Responsibility, number 4 for the Rice Index, and he's coming for the very first place his next session. He's running for re-election, and he can sure use your support. Thank you.
Well, hello, my name is George Flint, and I am running for House District 70 to defeat the Democrat that currently occupies that and return a conservative to the state legislature to support Mitch Little and that entire crew down there. Thank you.
Mr. President, what time is it now?
Time for you to go.
It's time for Tim. All right. I am Tim McDonough. I'm running for State House District HD 114, and I am a professor at SMU, the first professor in its 114-year history to run for a public office, because we figured it's time for some adult supervision and audit. Now, given my background, it's no surprise my number one issue is the abolition of property taxes. Look, we are smart people here in Texas. We can figure this out. We're going to do it. All right. I just need your support to get there. Now, we have a secret weapon. I want you all to please take out your phones. Go ahead, take out your phones. And I want you to navigate to tim4house.com, tim4house.com. And I'm going to show you how we're going to win this election. You're going to scroll to the top of the page, and you'll see a big green button. And that's how you're going to cast your vote right now and send a message to our incumbent Democrat, John Bryant, whose sell-by date has long ago expired.
Yes.
So let's put him out to pasture. Thanks again for your generosity. Tim McDonough, House District 114.
Hi, I'm Zach Barrett. I'm not a candidate, but I am representing our Texas Land Commissioner, Don Buckingham. All I'm going to say is pro oil and gas and pro Alamo. Keep the Alamo exactly the way it is.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Kurt Schwab, and I am running for Congressional District 33. And I will tell you that I have already filed to be on the ballot, and I'm the only one. I'm running on economic renewal for Dallas. I'm running on lower health care and prescriptions, and I'm working on better supporting our first responders and veterans. So Kurt Schwab for Congress. I'm available to talk afterwards, and my number's on the website. So Kurt Schwab for Congress. Thank you very much.
I'm Barry Wernick. I'm running for Dallas County Commissioner, District 2. It's time that we had a Republican on the court. We've got 4 leftists and 1 county judge that we all know, Clay Jenkins. And I think it's time for some transparency, accountability, time to dodge Dallas County. Someone with experience with elections and securing elections, well, that's me, and I don't think there are many other people here that have as much experience or knowledge regarding that issue. And Commissioner's Court handles that. The prisons. Right now, ICE would like to actually know which illegals are being released from the prisons. Oh, stop. Oh, wrap it up. So these are some of the issues: prisons, elections, and transparency. So I need from you 500 signatures. So I have about 100. Please see me at any time. If you live in District 2, University Park, Highland Park, Capel, it goes all over the place. Mesquite. So I need signatures. Thank you. Oh, go to givesendgo.com/Wernick for Texas. You can go to my old WernickforTexas.com site and need money. Thank you.
Last but not least,
Good evening, Susan Allen here for Mitch Little, Texas House District 65.
thank you. Round of applause for all our candidates. Alrighty, so at this time, I'd like to take the opportunity to invite our platinum level sponsor to the stage. He's a good friend of ours, and God willing, your next controller of the great state of Texas, Mr. Don Helpine.
Hello, Patriots. Hello, Dallas County. We're getting ready to have some fun tonight. Well, let me just ask you a couple quick questions. Are you ready to find out where all of our spending is in Austin, Texas? Yes. Are you ready to root out fraud, waste, and abuse? Are you ready to follow Donald Trump's footsteps and doge the state of Texas? Well, so am I. That's why I'm running to be your next comptroller. And let me tell you how important it is to doge Texas. How much money do you think we're spending in Texas every day? I'll tell you, it's rhetorical. $500 million. Texas is spending $500 million every day, $350,000 every minute of every day. And guess what? It all goes through the comptroller's office. I got eyes and ears on all the money. If you want to doge Texas, it starts and ends in the comptroller's office. I am the only candidate that's ever run for an office or held an office in the state of Texas that's actually done that. As you probably know, I took down Dallas County Schools with your help. They had over $100 million annual budget and elected board county-wide, and they were stealing millions from Dallas County residents. Millions. Shut them down overnight. I'm the only person that's ever done that. And that's why it's so important. What that group was spending, what they were spending in 1 year, Texas spends in 9 hours. Have you ever heard anyone in Austin going to jail? Do you think they got any sticky fingers in the cookie jar? Well, I think so. I'm also the only candidate that's running for this office that never took a penny from you, the taxpayer. When I was in the Senate, I never took a pension, health care, per diem, not $1 hit my pocket that belonged to you, because I don't work for the government. I work for you, and I'm going to do the same thing as your comptroller. I'm never taking a penny. I am your taxpayer champion. I'm running because I want to make sure that your money is spent correctly. I'm running because of my love for Texas. My campaign is on fire. I've got endorsements from the greatest groups, every conservative organization in the state of Texas, and one of my favorite, right here, the American Conservative Jewish Organization, right here, and eventually endorse a campaign. It's just fantastic. I've got 10 crews. So every conservative organization in the state of Texas is lined up behind my organization. Behind the campaign, including Charlie Kirk. Charlie Kirk said, I'm the only candidate running for this race that has the courage and the track record to bring President Trump's leadership to Texas. And that's what I'm going to do. God bless you.
Thank you very much, Don.
Thank you.
Alrighty, so at this time, I'd like to introduce our moderator for tonight's forum. She represents our great state in the Republican National Committee as the RNC Committee Woman for Texas. And for the last 11 years, she has hosted the talk show America Can We Talk, offering conservative commentary on the top issues facing America and interviewing hundreds of candidates, elected officials, policy experts. She is a public speaker, a former Fox News Radio national political analyst, and the author of Ladies Can We Talk? America Needs Our Vote. She also hosts a popular annual national conference, the Dallas Freedom Summit, featuring speakers addressing the major issues facing America, always with the mission to preserve America's unique and extraordinary greatness. Ladies and gentlemen, please give a warm welcome to RNC Committeewoman Debbie Georgatos.
I don't know. They already cut my mic. Might not be on. Okay, no, they didn't. First of all, it's so great to see such a big crowd here at Benji. I'm going to do something a little unkosher, not to be smart aleck, but recently you're going to allow Allie Raskin a quick 2 seconds here, 30 seconds.
That's at the end.
At the end. So sorry. Okay. She told me to say that. First of all, I'm so glad to see such a big crowd, and I know it's a very important race, and so I'm grateful that you're all here tonight. And I'm going to give you a little bit of the ground rules for tonight. First of all, I've not shared the questions with any of the candidates, and they're all pretty straightforward. Also, the one candidate who's not here tonight, who's running for Attorney General, Congressman Chip Roy, did tried to work it out, needs to be in Washington being a member of Congress, so he's not here. And what we're going to do tonight in starting out our evening is to have each of the candidates give an opening statement. But before I get to that, I want to tell you that on my talk show, America Can We Talk, I've interviewed three of the four. The fourth one we're going to do shortly, and I will put those up on our website because we had an hour-long interview with each of them, and you'll learn a lot more about them. And I enjoyed that they were able to join me. So here's our setup for tonight. We're going to have a 1-minute intro by each candidate. And then when they are seated and I don't know, yeah, I guess they get here seated and they do 1-minute intro. And then I'm going to do questions, keep mine under 2 minutes, and each candidate has 2 minutes to answer. There's a clock right there that I can see and they can see. Plus you've seen there is a stop sign also. If someone goes past, we're all watching. So we're trying to keep it short. I'm also going to rotate the order of questions. So just alphabetically, just start with the first person, and then each time start with a different person. So it's not always the first person going first. And also, I just want to say for anyone who's ever run for office, all of you candidates, this is a really big thing to run for a statewide race. I know you all know that, but it's a statewide race. You just have to talk to many voters. So I really commend all of them for stepping up to run because it is exhausting to travel so frequently. So with that, I'd like to invite each of them up to have a seat on the stage. And I believe what we decided was the first, the intro is going to, we had Congressman Chip Roy willing to record one and send it in. So you may have a seat, the three of you, and then we're going to play Chip Roy's intro, hello to you, and then we'll go to each of our candidates for the 1-minute intro.
Yes, Chip sends his regrets. He can't be here. He's voting on the Epstein file release. So that's why he's stuck in DC. Want to make sure that I mentioned that.
Thank you to American Jewish Conservatives and Debbie Georgianos for hosting the event tonight. I'm disappointed I can't attend, but as you can see, duty calls. For those who don't know me, my name is Chip Roy, and I'm serving my 4th term in Congress. My family came to Texas in the 1850s. Folks who believed in liberty, personal responsibility, hard work, and Texas justice. I've carried that mindset through every chapter of my life. Constitutional lawyer in the Senate, a federal prosecutor, a lawyer for the Texas governor, or beating stage 3 cancer. To then go on to serve as Ted Cruz's first chief of staff, Ken Paxton's first assistant attorney general, running the entire office for the AG, now fighting for Texas in Congress with a nationally recognized conservative record, including the highest rated score of all Texans in terms of fidelity to the GOP platform and President Trump's agenda. I'm now running for attorney general because we can't afford to lose Texas. As attorney general, I will secure the Texas border. While President Trump has given us a reprieve, we can never again be subject to an abusive federal government that leaves our border wide open. We have to lead. I will. I've done it in Congress, filing the first bill declaring cartels as terrorists. The president signed an executive order, and leading architect of H.R. 2, the first border security bill the GOP rallied around. I will secure our streets and hold rogue DAs accountable. I've prosecuted criminals. I've defended the blue, and I will see to it that the office to clean up our streets from Soros-funded DAs. I will secure our elections. I've led the fight in Washington to pass the SAVE Act to guarantee only American citizens vote in American elections. I testified in Austin for stronger laws, and I will enforce those laws. I will defend Texas from corporatization. Texans must own Texas, from ranches to meat processing, from our homes to our businesses. We should decide, not boardrooms in New York. Finally, I will secure our Judeo-Christian culture from the advance of Sharia law. It's not just Epic City. It's an organized attack. So I introduced legislation to vet immigrants for Sharia law, to ban it from our courtroom, and to end CARE's tax status. At a time of too much moral confusion, we must stand firmly with Israel and reject any ideology that threatens those Judeo-Christian heritage and community. I look forward to partnering together with you to defend Texas and protect the liberties we hold dear.
Senator Huffman, we'd love to have you give a 1-minute introduction of yourself.
Thank you. It's great to be here tonight. What a great crowd. I'm excited to be here. It's actually our first forum. where we all get to answer questions. So it's an exciting night. I think I can speak for all three of us. So to tell you, I have 1 minute to tell you about myself. I'm from Louisiana. I graduated from LSU. I moved to Houston in 1981 and started my career as a secretary at the DA's office in Houston. Went to night school for law. When I graduated, became a prosecutor. I served 14 years as a prosecutor in Houston. I tried over 100 jury trials, made it chief felony prosecutor, did a bunch of great things, which I hope to get to talk about more. Then I was elected twice as a criminal district court judge, where I presided over tens of thousands of cases. And in 2008, I was elected to the state senate, where I've been serving since 2008. I've been the chair of several major committees, including state affairs, where most of the conservative legislation passed through. I've been chair of redistricting. I'm currently the chair of the finance committee. I look forward to visiting with you tonight and letting you know more about me. Thank you.
Senator Middleton?
Thank you, Debbie. Huge victory today. Thank you, Governor Abbott, for designated CARE and Muslim Brotherhood as terrorist organization. That needed to happen. My name is Nate Middleton. Conservative record was second to none. And like our president, I don't take the salary. I reject it. I reject the pension. I reject the health care. I don't take the state license plate. I don't take the lobbyist ski trips or NFL tickets. I'm only here to serve and fight for the conservatives. It's 750 lawyers, and you have to hire the best talent. I know where the buck stops, and I've signed in front of a paycheck.
And Mr. Aaron Rice.
You know, I believe that we are in a battle for the soul of our state and our nation. I also believe that the primary arena in which we fight the dark forces of the left for the soul of our state and our nation is the justice system. President Trump understood this when he brought me into the administration as a senior executive at his Justice Department. And when he did, he said, Aaron Rice is a true MAGA attorney and a warrior for the Constitution. Why? Because he saw my record litigating, investigating, suing, defending, appealing, and otherwise leading legal teams into legal combat and winning victories in court up and down the chain of the justice system for our conservative, Republican, and Judeo-Christian values. That's what I bring to the table. And it's exactly why Attorney General Ken Paxton has endorsed me to succeed him, to continue the aggressive fight in court for our state and nation. Thank you.
The other item I wanted to mention in terms of the questions tonight is that some of them relate specifically to the role of the Attorney General's office, and others are more general about political issues we all care about, just to get a gauge to know our candidates a little better. So since we started with Senator Huffman, we'll now turn to Senator Middleton. And so one minute question, I hope, and 2 minute answer. This one is on election integrity. The Texas legislature passed SB 12 that gave the Attorney General authority to prosecute election fraud cases without an invitation to do so from the local prosecutor, which reversed the Texas Criminal Court of Appeals ruling in the Stevens case. Do you support that change of law? Are you concerned about election integrity in Texas? And what's your reaction to the push toward paper ballots? Senator Middleton.
Hugely important. Do we believe that a George Soros DA is going to prosecute voter fraud? No. That's why that was so important. And look, I asked Governor Abbott to add that to the special session call, the ability of the Attorney General to prosecute election-related crimes. He did. We passed it in the Senate, passed it in the House. Now it is law, thank goodness, because you have to have that backup ability to prosecute. But we need to take step 2, right? That's just the first part of it. We need a standalone division with law enforcement powers in the Attorney General's office to rapidly investigate and prosecute those that are breaking our election laws, whether that's voter fraud or election fraud or any of the other things that we've seen. It's happening all over the state. And the reason why this is so important, one illegal vote cancels out your legal vote. We need to make sure only legally qualified citizens are voting in the state of Texas. I fought for that. I got it over the finish line, and now we need to put it into action, and that's exactly what I will do as AG.
Mr. Wright, Aaron Wright.
The confidence that we have in our Republican form of government depends entirely upon the confidence we have at the ballot box. Without secure and transparent and fair elections, we can't have a free republic in which we participate democratically. You know, when the sham election of 2020 happened, Attorney General Ken Paxton and I filed the now famous case called Texas v. Pennsylvania, challenging on constitutional grounds the manner in which 4 states administered their sham elections. 2 days later, I was in the Oval Office with President Trump strategizing on the next moves. Meanwhile, while I was serving as deputy for the state of Texas, I led our Texas election integrity teams for the 2020 cycle as well as the 2022 cycle. In the middle of that time, in 2021, the Court of Criminal Appeals took a whole bunch of powers away from the AG's office from prosecuting election crimes. It was a joke. Now, I'm glad that the legislature has because Attorney General Paxton was still in power and they didn't want to give that authority to him. And they waited until 2025, only until after he indicated he was leaving office, to request those powers back. So it could be theirs rather than Attorney General Ken Paxton's. My record litigating, investigating, suing, defending, and appealing on election integrity. Now, Senator Middleton wants to say he wants a standalone election integrity division. There already is one. It's called the Election Integrity Division. And it was one of the divisions that I supervised successfully, bringing multiple lawsuits on behalf of the state of Texas to secure your ballot in some of the most crooked, deep blue counties and cities, including right here in Dallas County.
Senator Huffman.
Well, of course, nothing is more important than secure elections. It's the foundation, the bedrock of our democracy. We have to feel confident that when you vote, that your vote is going to be counted and counted accurately. And we have been working on this issue in the legislature for several sessions. You may not know this about me, but I passed the very first voter ID bill back in 2017. Now think about that. Prior to that time, you didn't even have to show identification when you voted. And many of you probably remember that. I was chair of state affairs and I passed the very first one that held up to the courts. And it was the strongest one in the nation at the time. And we have been fighting this ever since. And both of my opponents here are correct that we have had to fight liberal cities, the Democrats, and others who fought against us every step of the way to make our elections secure. But we have made a lot of progress. And we did get a setback when the Court of Criminal Appeals made that insane ruling that the AG could not enforce election laws. We've had to work at fixing that. I believe we have it fixed now. We've increased the penalties for voting illegally or voter fraud. It's now a second-degree felony. So we're doing a lot at the legislative level to get this done. But it does need to be prosecuted at the AG level. And I'll be frank, I am dismayed at the lack of prosecution that we see across the state. Where are the cases, right? We know what's happening. I don't think there has really been a will by prosecutors or really by the AG's office up to this point to really put a full, the power of the AG's office behind really wanting to cure and fix this problem. As AG, I will dedicate myself to making sure election fraud is eradicated from the state of Texas. Thank you.
I'm going to take a little privilege here because I put too many questions into one question. I did ask at the end of that, what's your reaction to the push and the move toward paper ballots? And people didn't maybe get a chance to get to that one. So I'm probably going to lose track of which person goes first. But I think actually on the subject of paper ballots, it's Mr. Wright's going first. Wait, just 1 minute, 1 minute. If you can do 1 minute with him. Yeah, on this paper ballots.
Yeah.
1 second.
Whenever an election is run that involves technology, computers, air gaps, Bluetooth, the transfer of information digitally, it by its nature is vulnerable to screw ups, accidental deletions. Yes, by its nature. I don't care how secure of an air gap Bluetooth ballot counter you give me. It can still be hacked and it can still be messed with. The only way to have total confidence in our elections is with paper ballots. And what I really want to see is same-day elections. It's this commitment to same-day elections and paper ballots that earned me Mike Lindell's endorsement. Why? Because of my record litigating for election integrity on behalf of the state of Texas to secure our ballots. And as AG, I'm going to use my platform to push for exactly what the Dallas County GOP is doing right now, to push for paper ballots. So good on you guys. Let's see the rest of the state follow.
Hey, I swear I can keep track of things. So you, I think we're going to actually, so Senator Huffman, now you're just 1 minute on what's your view about paper ballots?
Well, as chair of state affairs, I have sat through, when I was chair, no longer am chair, I sat through hours and hours of testimony about the best way to conduct elections, the best types of ballots. And what I have found is that people disagree on this issue. Experts disagree. And some believe that if you use paper ballots, it's actually more rife for fraud and abuse. I'm just saying what some people say, but you can boo. I'm repeating what people have said. And we have heard both sides of this. I think that different counties may have different solutions about how to solve what's best for their county. Some of the rural areas have different ways of doing it. Some of the urban areas want to do it a different way. And I think that the people need to come together in the counties to determine what is best for them, how they feel more confident and more comfortable in their elections. And I think it should be a local control issue about how these elections are run. I do think all elections should be secure. I am just not convinced that a paper ballot would necessarily be the safest way to conduct an election.
Senator Middleton on paper ballots.
Thank you. I support them. That's Senator Hall's legislation, incredibly important to election integrity here in Dallas County especially. But I've got to respond to something here. We did advance the bill in the Senate in 2023 to restore the AG's power to prosecute. That is a lie. And you know why it's so hard to pass laws like that? Because of taxpayer-funded lobbyists like Aaron Wrights works for in Austin. That is one of the biggest obstacles to election integrity in our state. We are literally paying for lobbyists to oppose election integrity in Texas. And that is one of the reasons why these bills that we're talking about tonight are so hard to get over the finish line. So that is incredibly important to point out here. As an obstacle to conservative values, you're having to pay for that right now. You're subsidizing the left's opposition to the things that you believe in, and it's the way the left wins without winning elections, and it's the USA of Texas.
Okay, thank you. I always make this joke on my talk show with interviews that in case we get snowed in for a week, I have enough questions. I actually really do have a lot of questions, so we'll move on to the next one. I realize as we hear answers, you think, oh, probably someone wants to respond to that. I think we need to move on to our next question. I'm going to turn to Attorney General Paxton's years as Attorney General. He is viewed by many across the country as an activist Attorney General. He sued Pfizer over what he called unlawful misrepresentation. Yeah, concerning COVID. He sued Harris County for unlawfully directing $1.3 million in taxpayer money to defend illegal aliens from deportation. So he's viewed as an activist Attorney General. So my question is, was he activist enough, too activist? How do you think he'd be different, if at all, from Attorney General Paxton in terms of being an activist in that role? And what's the top issue you want to take on? And now I believe we are starting with, I think Senator Middleton. I don't know. Let's go first. 2 minutes. Oh, you're back to 2 minutes. So regular question, kind of compare yourself to Attorney General Paxton. Was he overly activist or about right?
Answer roulette here. We're going, out of order, but I love it. Look, he has fought against woke corporate interests that are trying to drag Texas down like New York and California. That's the bottom line. And he has done a great job at that. And I have a record of fighting against those same woke corporate interests. I fought the big soda lobby and won, and authored and passed the law to take soda and candy out of our taxpayer-funded food stamp program. Taxpayer-funded junk food turns into taxpayer-funded healthcare, right? We all know this. It's common sense. But not only that, I took on the woke vaccine lobby and medical lobby and authored and passed the strongest ban on COVID vaccine mandates in America. Up to 5 times stronger than Florida. I wanted to outdo Florida by a factor of 5. But the reason why this is so important at the end of the day is we're defending Texas values, right? They're coming after our state. They're coming after our children. And we've got to make sure that we stand up and protect and defend them. And the AG's office is there to protect those who can't defend themselves, right? And one of the ways we do that is consumer protection. I want to make sure that Texas is the safest state in America to live and raise a family. And that includes fighting against these woke companies that are trying to destroy Texas like all the other states.
Thank you, Senator Middleton. Mr. Wright, on Attorney General Paxton's activism and how you relate to that.
Not only is Attorney General Ken Paxton active, but he's effective because he's gone to war. Unlike many Republicans who squish, who cower, he has led the fight on behalf of our state against the Biden administration, big tech, big pharma, blue counties, blue cities, school districts, and all other lawbreakers and flouters of the law. If you like that action, if you like that effectiveness, I'm your only choice to succeed him as AG. I have been endorsed by Attorney General Ken Paxton to succeed him. And you ought to read his endorsement statement. He didn't mince words. He said Aaron Reitz is the only qualified candidate in this race. He is the only one that I would trust to turn the keys of this office over to. Why? He lays it out. Because Aaron Reitz was his offensive coordinator. You know, I'm proud to say that when I served as his deputy, I sued the 46th president, Auto Pen Joe Biden, 46 times, and I won 85% of those cases. I led the state against big pharma, big tech, blue counties, blue cities. And just like your COVID lockdown king, the county judge, Clay Jenkins, here in Dallas County. Boo, exactly right. Now, what you're going to hear throughout the night is you're going to hear references to various legislative accomplishments. Remember, under Article 4, Section 22, it says, quote, the Attorney General shall represent the state of Texas in all courts and pleas. This is a legal, law enforcement, executive branch job. It is not a legislative job. As a lawyer who's represented the state dozens and dozens of times, I always appreciate good legislation. But you don't send the manufacturer of the M4 service rifle into combat to defeat the left. You send the Marine to take that rifle that was made for him to go vanquish the left and vanquish the enemies of our Constitution. That's what I'm here to do.
Senator Huffman.
I think that General Paxton has done a great job, and I think he's been very aggressive at going after the woke corporations, whether it be big tech or big pharma, and has effectively done so. And I will say that by doing so, he has brought quite a bit of money into the state of Texas. As chair of finance, I've been watching all this very carefully because we actually had to finance a lot of the experts, the lawyers that are paid. Many of these cases are handled by outside legal counsel, not lawyers at the AG's office. In fact, the vast majority of them are, and there's still several pending. But he has made a concerted effort to go out and to go after those, and many times he's partnered with other states in doing so, and it's been very successful. And I would continue to do that if I was your attorney general, because I think it's important. It is part of the protection of Texans, whether it's consumer protection. But I look at Texas and I see other things that need to be accomplished at the AG's office. With my background as a prosecutor and a judge and my many years in the state Senate, I can see that there, in my opinion, and I think would be great for Texas to have a focus on bringing more law enforcement activity into the Attorney General's office. My goal would be to work with local prosecutors, with local law enforcement, to assist them in the prosecution of cases and other issues that arise at the local level. There is a distrust now that exists between local law enforcement and the Attorney General's office that has been kind of percolating there for a long time, really over a decade. With my background, I can bring that trust back. What does that mean for you? It means that you'll live in a safer, more secure Texas. And I think that that is a very important role and a job that needs to be done by the Attorney General. Thank you.
Earlier tonight, we heard about, and I talked about in my show today, that Governor Abbott issued just, at least to me, out of the blue announcement that he designated both the Muslim Brotherhood and CARE, Council on American Islamic Relations, as foreign terrorist and transnational criminal organizations. He went on to say in Governor Abbott's tweet, this bans them, meaning Muslim Brotherhood and CARE, from buying or acquiring land in Texas and authorizes the Attorney General to sue to shut them down. Yes, that was a big thing. So I want to start, and honestly, since I am losing track of the order of this, is like my worst problem in these. So Senator Hupp and Finnis, we should start with Mays Middleton. Senator Middleton, you always go first. Just get over it. No, I was kidding. I think Senator Middleton is supposed to go first this time. But what was your reaction to what the announcement today by Governor Abbott of this proclamation, and what do you see the Attorney General's office being able to do?
That was a huge victory. And look, before I even ran for this office, I began fighting against Sharia law and Islamification. We had several victories on that. Number one, obviously, anti-Semitism is a symptom of that, especially in our schools. So I fought for the law this session that makes anti-Semitism a violation of the code of conduct in both K-12, like we've seen in Plano, and our colleges, like we saw on UT's campuses. Not only that, passed the law that makes it a crime to enforce Sharia law. Number three, on top of that, fought for the law, helped get it over the finish line that stops terrorist organizations like the ones that were designated today. CARE is a terrorist organization. Muslim Brotherhood is a terrorist organization where they cannot own our property in Texas anymore. We're not allowing our enemies to buy Texas out from underneath us anymore. We're stopping that. It's America first, Texas first. Again, number four, we passed the law, I fought for it, that allows the Attorney General and the state to stop developments like Epic. Hugely important, but it's got to be enforced. And that's exactly what I will do as Attorney General. This is a threat to our republic. This is a threat to our Constitution, but this is a threat to our family. And you know what? Sharia law is organized crime. Period. And that's exactly why I want to start an organized crime division in the Attorney General's office. And top on that agenda, with the cartels as well, of course, is combating these radical Islamic terrorist organizations that are threatening our state and threatening our country.
So it's Aaron Wrights next, and now I got a system. I won't mess the order up anymore. So, Mr. Wrights, responding to the governor's announcement today.
Islam, particularly its militant forms, are utterly incompatible with Western and American civilization. Christians and Jews may disagree on certain theological points, but we are deep allies in fighting against the civilizational threats, the common enemy that we have in Islam. What Governor Abbott did today was trigger a set of laws, a body of statutes that the Attorney General now is empowered to seize upon, to identify, smoke out, hold accountable, and punish the Islamists who are invading our state. What I want to do as Attorney General is treat the Islamists like the feds treated the mafia in the 70s and 80s. We are going to overwhelm them with the application of law. We are going to make it intolerable for them to even want to function in Texas. They're just going to self-deport, either back overseas or to Ilhan Omar's district. I don't care. But you're not going to operate in Texas. And I'm the only one on this stage who has wielded those state weapons to do justice. I agree with Mays. I'd like to see a strong organized crime unit. Once again, Mr. Middleton, it already exists. And I've led the division. And I've tried to work with the legislature to expand the Attorney General's scope to fight transnational crime from county to county because it's not a local issue. And yet legislators like these two have thwarted Attorney General Paxton at every turn. And when I'm Attorney General, I'm going to go right back to the legislature and I'm going to partner with President Trump as a former senior executive at DOJ and demand additional powers to smoke out and hold accountable these Islamic terrorists that want to destroy our civilization.
Senator Huffman, in response to the governor's order today.
Well, I think it was a great order and it was very welcomed. I will tell you that back in 2017, I noticed the Sharia problem that was starting to percolate down in Fort Bend County, which was an area that I represented as a senator. And I did something about it. You may not know this, but in 2017, I passed a bill. The legislature passed a bill. I'm sure Mays voted for it in the House. I believe we were in the House back then. Wasn't in the House back then. But it said you could not follow Sharia law in any courts of Texas. So that was the very beginning. A lot of people were not paying attention, but I was paying attention and I did something about it. And that has been held up just recently. The Supreme Court of Texas held up this year in 2025 said the prenup agreement that was done under Sharia law could not be supported in the state of Texas because of the bill that I passed in 2017. And we've been fighting this battle for a while, and we have made great strides this session by banning the foreign purchase of land, by creating these individuals as foreign terrorists, by empowering the Attorney General's office to proceed with refer criminal penalties with civil penalties. So there's finally some teeth in the law to proceed. I agree that these epic centers, and there was similar issues that arose down in my neck of the woods up there down there in Fort Bend County, where it was serious about the bullying and the type of power that was trying to be exerted over everyday citizens by the Islamic faith and some of the things that they were doing. It was very troublesome. And so we have been watching this. I do think it was about awareness, and at least now we are aware more on a statewide basis, and I think that will bode well as we move forward and try to thwart this and stop its growth. And I was very happy to see Governor Abbott jump in as big as he did with a lot of strong language and really set it up so that the laws that we pass can now be implemented.
Thank you. This question, the first is going to go with Mr. Wrights, kind of changing topics or a related topic. Tucker Carlson's interview with Nick Fuentes and Candace Owens' strident criticism of Israel. It feels like what we're seeing, or many are calling, a rise of the woke anti-Semitism on the right, like anti-Semitism on the Republican side among conservatives. Are you concerned about anti-Semitism in America and Texas, and specifically about the woke anti-Semitism on the right? Do you think that's a valid label for it? And what are your thoughts? Aaron Rice.
You know, my role model, the only other lawyer in the family, was my grandfather, and he was Jewish. And I grew up with him learning to love and appreciate the Jewish people. I love and consider Israel to be an absolutely necessary strategic ally. I personally disavow any of these sorts of trends of anti-Semitism and all this other nonsense, okay? And on Nick Fuentes in particular, my bottom line is I think this guy is just a weird, giant loser, okay? This is a guy who admitted to streaming webcam shows in his mom's basement. He referred to men's relations with other women as homosexual. This guy's a freak. And my opinion is I look at him chattering his little mouth, and obviously what he says is gross and offensive to me, and I totally disagree with it. And you know what I do with other vile dorks like Nick Fuentes? I move along and I ignore him. I move along and I ignore him because he's a loser. No one cares. And so what I want to do is make sure that not only do I speak clearly with ethics, integrity, and my view that these people spewing vile anti-Semitism, Holocaust denial, all these sorts of things are sidelined and marginalized. Exactly. But I don't subscribe to that. And I will tell you this. One of the things I was proud of when I served in the senior ranks of the Justice Department under President Trump is I partnered with Attorney General Bondi as the presidentially appointed head of the Office of Legal Policy to stand up the October 7th task force, to stand up the task force on anti-Semitism, to coordinate federal resources that I, as the next AG, am going to bring to bear to root out anti-Semitism in our state and in our Republican movement.
Senator Huffman, your reaction to the what's being called the rise of the woke anti-Semitism on the right?
Well, in my opinion, there's no room for anti-Semitism in the Republican Party. I mean, it's very simple. I don't really need 2 minutes to answer this question. I think it's disgusting. It's revolting. I think that they're doing it just to get clicks and audiences, and that makes it even more offensive because I don't think there's any real belief. It's just about showmanship, and I find it insulting and degrading to all humans. So I don't pay any attention to it, and at any opportunity that I have, I will denounce it. That's what I have to say.
I'll make a point about this. No, they're not required to talk the whole 2 minutes. That was much less than 2. So you're welcome to keep the answer short if you want to. Senator Middleton, response to woke anti-Semitism on the right.
Well, I think it's rooted in evil, frankly. And look, these are the same people that are saying it's okay for a man to go in a woman's restroom. That the 10 Commandments on the wall of every classroom is harmful. That we can't have prayer in school. That we can't have school choice. These are the people that want to open borders, by the way, too. So they're an enemy to our republic. We got to be clear about that. And we can't just turn the other way. We can't just walk away. This is coming from our education system, by the way. That's where it's coming from. And I've done the hard work on the ground. You know, Dickinson ISD is supposed to be a Republican school district. Well, we had a teacher there that said from the river to the sea and singled out a Jewish student. And I found out they were trying to sweep that under the rug, the superintendent was, and hide that. I don't put up with that. So I called her out, and she is no longer with Dickinson ISD. We cannot afford people like that in classrooms. Not only that, Plano ISD. Look at the anti-Semitism we've seen there. Sikha was drawn on a trailer the other day with a swastika. That is a clear violation of our anti-Semitism laws. Not only that, I had someone tell me actually that there's a family in Collin County that converted from Muslim to Christian. They're still paying tithes to the mosque because they're afraid they'll be killed if they stop. Jewish children are afraid to identify as such. That's not America. We've got zero tolerance for that. So we have to start in our education system to rip this out, root and branch, and call out this evil and have zero tolerance for it in Texas.
Senator Huffines, this question goes to you first.
Huffman? I love John.
He's a platinum sponsor, so he actually does get to answer a few of these questions, right?
John, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. That's exactly who you are.
Yes, I only say.
Senator Huffman. Proposition 3 passed in recent Texas elections. It requires judges to deny bail to violent offenders who commit certain felonies. Is that enough, what passed, to fix the problem of judges and courts being too lenient and letting offenders out on bond? And can the Attorney General's office do more?
Well, it's a heck of a good start. And actually, that was my bill and my constitutional amendment supported by Senator Middleton and many people in the Senate and in the House, legislators. And we've been trying for 7 years to get that passed. I can't tell you how many times I passed that out of the Senate. It was more than 10 times. and it was a huge fight because of the constitutional amendment, so I had to get it out of the House. The Senate was not a problem, but the House Democrats were a huge problem. But we finally got it passed. It's now going to be implemented soon. And from there, we'll see if it is enough. We had more. I had another constitutional amendment that would have allowed for automatic denial of bail for illegals who were here, who committed a felony. It almost got out of the House. Mitch Little carried it for me in the House. He worked very hard, came very close to getting it passed, but I'm sure that we'll make another run at it next session. But the issue is such that in Harris County, and there was other counties where this was occurring as well, some in Dallas County, other counties, Travis County, where there were repeat offenders who had been out on multiple bonds for violent offenses and were continuing to commit new felony offenses. In Harris County alone, in about a 4-year period, there were 162 murders that occurred by individuals who were out on violent felony bonds. That's an incredible statistic when you think about it. But these woke judges continue to not follow the law, continue to assess very lenient bonds. And now, under this new constitutional amendment, they have to consider an individual's past, the crime itself, and they have to determine, and if they decide to let them loose, they have to write a statement as to why they're actually releasing them, why they don't think they're a threat. So this is an important step for the victims and the people of Texas. And yes, we may need to go farther depending how the judges respond to this constitutional amendment. Thank you.
Actually, I want to ask a quick follow-up just to that one, Senator Huffman. I actually did not realize Proposition 3 is just, it imposes a duty on the judges to follow certain steps, but it's not something that dictates in certain crimes you cannot release them. Is that correct?
It does apply to only certain crimes, but it is not automatic. If that answers your question.
Okay, yeah, okay. And Senator Middleton.
Thank you. That was a huge victory for law and order, because law and order, tough on crime, that's America first. That's one of the most important things that we can do, because look, our laws, our Constitution, those aren't suggestions. Those are not something that you cafeteria style, take what you want and leave what you don't. If you do that, you violated your oath of office. Our judges that do that are violating their oath of office when they put their hand on the Bible to protect and defend all of our laws and all of our Constitution. And that Prop 3 only addresses the worst of the worst. Violent sexual offenders. But that's part of the problem. There's more to it than that. We've got George Soros elected district attorneys that are treating our laws and Constitution as suggestions. They're letting murders out on the street. And by doing that and by adopting policies of not prosecuting, they violated their oath and they need to be removed from public office. And that's exactly what I will fight to do. But you also got to think about the root cause of a lot of this. Who's paying for these elections of these woke judges? Who's paying for the elections of these woke district attorneys? George Soros. On day one in office, I want to investigate George Soros for the crimes that I believe he's committed against our state and our communities. Hardly anyone has done more harm to Texas and Texas families than George Soros. He needs to be held accountable for that. And that's exactly what I will do.
Thank you. Mr. Wright.
In both state and federal court, we are living through an era that can only be described as a judicial coup.
Amen.
These are judges who swear an oath of office and must adhere to certain judicial codes of conduct, and yet they know that when they rule throwing out the law or in favor of criminals, or when they issue opinions that are ruling against their political opponents, they are abdicating their responsibility, they are betraying their oath, and they must be removed from office. Now, you might get all three of us on this stage to agree with that notion. Here's what sets me apart. I am the only one on this stage who has actually brought affirmative and successful state level action against subordinate public officials, whether at the city, county, or court system, and remove them from office. I've done it. You can sit up here as a candidate all day long and get the applause lines for saying you want to do X, Y, or Z. But if you don't have any experience doing X, Y, and Z, all it is an applause line. This is why Attorney General Ken Paxton, who began and is already deeply involved in smoking out the multinational, globalist, unlimited funding George Soros network. He's already deep into it. So if you like the progress that's been made, support, and even if you're not happy with enough progress being made, you need somebody who's going to get into that office, who's been endorsed by him, to continue to press his foot on the gas and double down on the progress that we've done. And you got to choose the guy who knows how to do it, who's ran the play and scored many touchdowns before. That's what I do.
There was a bill passed in this most recent legislative cycle. I think it was the most recent one. It was HB 366. It passed. It required a warning label on political ads if they were AI generated. So basically, if you are pretending you're displaying an image that appears to be something that's real but it's not, it required a warning label to say this is like if someone put something up saying, yeah, this is Debbie Georgatos and she's advocating for open borders. So the law that was passed, HB 366, required a warning label on AI-generated ads. There was a lot of opposition, people saying that's a First Amendment violation, the government can't tell you what to put in your political ads. Others saying things have gotten so far with AI, we can't, we have to regulate it somehow. So recently there was a gentleman who was arrested. This was Colton Krottinger, I think it's pronounced. He was arrested for a meme that he posted. And he's being charged. And the Hood County Sheriff there made an announcement in talking about the prosecution, encouraging people to say, hey, if you know anyone else who did this, have them talk to me. So my question is, because it's a very controversial issue, so in HB 366, and I believe we're back to starting with Senator Middleton, HB 366 requiring a warning label for AI-generated ads. Is that a free speech violation or not?
Well, I met Colton earlier, and he's being targeted because of his values, because of his conservative values. That is a First Amendment issue. And frankly, that's un-Texan to go after someone because they're advocating for what they believe in their heart, right? He's doing it because he wants to advance what we all believe in, which is the conservative movement in Texas, our God-granted freedoms. And it's unfortunate that his First Amendment rights, frankly, are being suppressed under that. They're being chilled. That's exactly what that is. And if he's here, I would love for him to stand up. Colton, you can stand up. Everyone, give him a round of applause. Someone's got to be the first up the hill, right? Someone's got to be the first to go do what's right. It's like Sam Houston said, you do right and you risk the consequences. And look, at the end of the day, that's what this job is about in the Attorney General's office. It is about judgment, it is about character, and it is about defending those God-granted freedoms. Because look, government doesn't grant us anything, right? It doesn't. Our Constitution simply protects those God-granted freedoms. So I agree, that is a huge First Amendment issue. And that is something that I will make sure that I fight for in the Attorney General's office.
Mr. Rights.
Well, I'm glad that Colton hears too. I'm also proud to say that Colton's experience with weaponized justice and the suppression of his First Amendment rights caused him to know that he needs an attorney general who's going to litigate and advance our First Amendment principles. And for that reason, Colton announced tonight that he's endorsing me for attorney general. Why? Because on this stage, I'm the only one who has litigated on behalf of the state of Texas to defend your First Amendment free speech rights. This is again the difference between me and my opponents. You can say, yes, this is a First Amendment issue. I check, yes. But what no one else on this stage has ever done is litigated a First Amendment, not free speech, not free exercise, not free press, not freedom of association. None of the provisions in the First Amendment have been handled in court at any level in state or federal court, district, appellate, or Supreme Court, both channels, by any of my opponents at any point in their careers. And so, yes, it is a First Amendment issue. This is the anti-meme thing. Let me be also clear. I love good memes. I think good memes are hilarious. I enjoy memes. I like making memes on Meme Generator. And I'll be darned if some good old boy wants to come after me and try to arrest and indict me for making a hilarious meme that you enjoy. I don't want that. That's what Colton did. And what I'm going to do is not only identify First Amendment issues, but I'm going to actually go to the mat to advance them. And that's important because I'm the only one with the experience to do it. So you can trust me. Thank you.
Senator Huffman.
Well, clearly what happened to Colton was wrong, and he was expressing his opinion. I haven't seen his meme, but through and exercising his First Amendment rights. It's hard sometimes in the political world. I guess people get overly sensitive about things like that. But it comes with the territory, and he certainly has a right to express what he wants to express. Back in 2019, we started to see limitations on free speech in the campus, in the higher ed arena. And that's where Charlie Kirk started, right? He saw the importance of young people and them feeling their freedoms and their ability to talk about what's important to them and their beliefs. And we were seeing in Texas a real stifling of especially conservatives' viewpoints. And it got to the point where conservatives on college campuses were not allowed even to have speakers if they were controversial or they were going to, cause a scene and so forth. So I passed a bill in 2019, and it was the strongest campus free speech bill in America at the time. And because of that, I was actually invited to, it was the first time Trump was president, invited to the White House for a roundtable on campus free speech. And I was invited to the West Wing, and I actually met Charlie Kirk that day. And so it's a good memory for me. And so we were looking at these free speech issues, and you have to be vigilant and you have to be watchful because it can creep in, whether it was on our college campuses, which now look what's happening with Turning Point and how it's bringing conservatives, young conservatives out and expanding our base. So whether it's that or whether it's in the political arena or whether it's just stating opinion that's not necessarily the most popular opinion. Because sometimes as conservatives, we don't have the most popular opinion. So yes, will I be a fighter for free speech? Yes, I will be. And yes, Mr. Wright, I can fight. It might be interesting to wonder and ask how many actually words Mr. Wright has uttered in a courtroom. I've tried over 100 jury trials. I know how to talk in a courtroom. I know how to fight for what's important. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm going to do this again, ask our timekeeper to make this a 1-minute question, if you can adjust that clock. I meant to ask this earlier because I think election integrity is so important in the AG's office and fighting for it. And this time is Mr. Wright's first. And the question just is, Attorney General Paxton received some criticism for filing the litigation in 2020, challenging the 2020 election and taking his case directly to the Supreme Court. And so my question was it the right thing to do for him to file that litigation? I know that you're involved in it, but was it the right thing, a right use of his office to challenge the 2020 election outcome? Mr. Wright.
100% it was. It was a sham election. It was a sham election. And we use our constitutional rights as a state to try to make right out of a historic wrong. The two on stage were completely MIA from that process. And the one person who's absent from this room, but I'm going to say it right now, even though he's not here. Chip Roy throughout that process, called for President Trump to be impeached. He sided with Mike Pence, Liz Cheney, Nancy Pelosi to certify the steal, in the tiny minority of Republicans who did that. He then got infected with Trump derangement syndrome and started recruiting Ron DeSantis to primary Donald Trump. And as late as December of 2024, President Trump was calling Chip Roy to be removed from office for his treachery. President Trump called Chip a do-nothing rhino, a blowhard, a grandstander, a rhino. I at least appreciate that he waded into the fight on the totally wrong side, but my two opponents on stage, totally MIA. Where was I? I filed that court directly in front of the U.S. Supreme Court. That's what I did.
Okay, so next Senator Huffine is responding to, I'm so sorry. I know I even like Senator. Yeah, you need to stop confusing me over there. Okay, Senator Huffman, same question though, was the 2020, the filing litigation in the Supreme Court by Attorney General, the challenge that election, was that justified, the right use of the office?
Clearly, Attorney General Paxton felt very, very strongly about what had happened, as did many of us, concerned and furious about the outcome of the election and what we thought were fraud and so many questions all over the country about what had happened. And so, yes, I would, he had every right to dig in. Now, he didn't win the case, but he certainly didn't give up fighting. So I think when you believe as an attorney general, whether it's an issue that is as monumental as that issue was, or other issues that are important that you feel strongly about, that it is your duty. The oath that you take under the Constitution is your duty to represent the people of Texas and to dive into these fights, even if they're going to be very difficult and perhaps unpopular. He was sanctioned by the state bar, or they tried to sanction him, and he was punished in many ways for jumping into that. But he did what he thought was right, and you have to respect him for that.
Senator Middleton.
The election of 2020 was stolen. Period. The end. That was a stolen election. And at that time, I was chairman of the Texas House Freedom Caucus, and we deployed to Pennsylvania to help in that. That was the front lines of the fight for election integrity. Y'all remember that in 2020? They were cheating us there. They did universal ballot by mail. But not only that, we didn't stop. We didn't stop. Freedom Caucus priority number one was the election integrity bill in 2021 that made paid voter assistance a crime, a felony, and instituted voter ID for absentee ballots. Never again was our response. Not only that, we fought for the election audit law, which unfortunately did not pass the Texas House, to expose some of the fraud that we know occurred, like here in Dallas County, Travis County, Bexar County, Harris County, all over the state. They cheated us. Do you remember the ballot drop-off locations? So from day one in office, I've been fighting for election integrity, been fighting for years. And that's why I'm the only one in this race that's been protested at the Texas Capitol just this year, because I'm fighting for you.
Okay, and here's what we're going to do. We're near the end of our time. I want to say one more time, a 1-minute question, and I'll let you guys know what it is. You can think about it while I'm saying a few things, but the 1-minute question just says the thing you would say you're most proud of in your career among the three of you. Just you can think about that. While they're thinking about that, what we're going to do is answer that question. I don't know why he's standing there. Yes. Okay. Okay, so he gave me more time because I talk a lot. So you can think about that question, but then we're going to turn to let them after that make their closing statements. But then we're not done then. We have questions that have been sent in. So the closing statements and then going to your questions, which are all coming up to me up here on this iPad. So people send questions in. We'll do those. Is there some way they can turn in questions even? Yeah, okay. Yeah, you can go right there, use that QR code to send a question now. We have a bunch of them, but I love to do as many as we can. With that, there's a 1-minute question for each of you. And I think you think I probably don't know, but I do. I believe that first person to go first here is Senator Huffman. What's the thing you're most proud of in your career?
I think I'm most proud of the work that I've done over the years for victims, whether it was as a prosecutor when I represented families, children who had been murdered, whether it's the work that I did as a judge to make sure that justice was given in the cases when someone comes to court and they've been victimized and their loved one has been killed or their property's been taken, whatever it is, they're at their weakest and their most vulnerable. And then later, as a state senator, I have passed so many pieces of legislation to protect victims, to help prosecutors prosecute criminals, to reinforce our prisons. I have worked so hard on these issues for a very long time. That's why I have the support of law enforcement across the state, including the Dallas Police Association, the Dallas County Sheriff's Association, sheriffs around the area, the Certified Law Enforcement Association of Texas. It's because law enforcement knows what I've done for the state of Texas, and I will continue to protect victims and protect you if I'm your next Attorney General. Thank you.
Senator Middleton.
Thank you, Debbie. I know the thing that I'm the most proud of, and that's my faith in our Lord Jesus. Look, at the end of the day, I know I can't sustain myself on my own energy alone in this fight. Only my faith can do that. And as a dad to 4 little ones, little girl's 4, she's got me wrapped around her little finger. Don't say no. Ever say no to her. It's hard to. That's who the left is coming for, right? And we need to make sure that that greatest blessing from God, our innocent children, right? Especially on the pro-life front. Life begins at conception, folks. Period. And that faith is what sustains me in this fight. It's the only thing that can. As for it is by grace through faith we've been saved alone. That's it. That's all that matters in us at the end of the day, because my name will be forgotten. Everybody's name on this stage will be forgotten. All that matters is we leave it better than we found it.
Mr. Wright.
I'm most proud of my service as an active duty Marine Corps officer, leading Marines in Afghanistan. That's what I'm most proud of. I cherish those memories. I was a younger man, although my hair was rapidly approaching its current state even back then. That's all right. It's more aerodynamic. Remember when I was in Afghanistan, I deployed to the northern Helmand province. I was embedded with the Afghan National Army. I had an unconventional deployment experience. And my son, who actually just turned 14 yesterday, he's my oldest, was born while I was in Afghanistan. And I met him when he was 5 months old. And those years were formative for my wife and I and our little one, and then we had another little girl, and we had 2 more girls. And I understand, Senator Middleton, about being wrapped around your daughters. I mean, I totally get it. I got 3 of them. But I'm most proud of my honorable service, having led Marines in a combat zone and using those early years to instill a real sense of duty and service, not just in myself, but in our whole family. And as a result of that experience, it's the Wrights family that's running for this office. We're all in on this together, and I couldn't have felt that way were it not for my time in the Marines.
Okay. And I'm just realizing, thank goodness we're talking up here. I guess also Congressman Chip Roy sent in a closing video. So we'll play that and then we'll go to these questions, of which there are many. And those of you who sent 7-paragraph questions, I'm not reading the whole thing. I'm shortening them.
We need an attorney general who is fully prepared on day one to defend Texans. This is not the moment for on-the-job training. It's a moment for proven aggressive leadership. This is why Senator Cruz, a former Solicitor General of Texas, has endorsed me. He understands what it takes to win on behalf of Texas. I'm the only candidate who has already served as Texas's first Assistant Attorney General, running the operations, managing thousands of employees, and directing high-stakes litigation, including Supreme Court cases. Not every candidate has a record of prosecuting dangerous criminals and illegal immigrants as a federal prosecutor. I do. Not every candidate has a proven conservative track record under his or her own name. With the highest scores from the most conservative groups, I do. Not every candidate has a proven record defeating Democrats in tough races. I do. I defeated Wendy Davis in 2020 in a $30 million national race with the full force of the Democratic machine fighting us. Yet I stood strongly on conservative priorities and won. I'm prepared and proven on the ballot. Texas deserves an attorney general who knows the law has run the office and has proven courage to defend our principles. Thank you again for the invitation and for your work advancing strong conservative values. Thank you for allowing me to speak with you tonight. I look forward to earning your support. I got to go vote, but I look forward to coming home to Texas. God bless you all.
Okay, so we're going to turn to Q&A now. We have so many sent in. We're doing 1 minute per for each of the candidates here tonight. And I believe we're starting with Mays, Middleton. But the first question that I'm going to, this was one of the 7-paragraph ones I'm shortening. The gist of it is Plano ISD. Plano ISD is under investigation by the United States Department of Justice Anti-Semitism Task Force set up by President Trump. Plano ISD is under investigation. That ISD has one of the 2 largest Jewish student populations of any district in Texas. Numerous incidents have occurred that people have already been talking about a little bit. And the thing is, will all of you agree tonight to either issue a public statement, together or separately, to state your support of our communities, of the Jewish community and against anti-Semitism regarding Plano ISD? Senator Middleton?
Thank you, Debbie. Well, I already have. I've already been working with the Jewish families in Plano ISD to call out this evil, this scourge that we're seeing. And it's not a coincidence that EPIC, East Plano Islamic Center, is right there. This Islamification is spilling over into the school district. There is indoctrination that is happening because of that. They're targeting Jewish students because of their faith. Worse than that, these students feel unsafe. They feel scared to admit that they're Jewish in school. This is wrong. We can't put up with this. I've been working with Seth Weinstein, who's here tonight, on this already. And you know what the school district said in response to this? They limited public comment. They're already breaking the law, not just our laws against anti-Semitism. They're shutting down taxpayers and parents from making their voice heard. And a lot of this is, of course, driven by taxpayer-funded lobbyists who are helping them and giving them legal advice to shut down parents and make them be quiet because they don't like what they're hearing from them. It's wrong, and I will fight tooth and nail to stop it as Attorney General.
Hey, Mr. Rice.
Who better to muster the resources of the Justice Department's Anti-Semitism Task Force than the presidentially appointed, Senate-confirmed head of the Office of Legal Policy that worked directly with Attorney General Bondi to get that thing up off the ground? I'm referring to myself, by the way. That's me, okay? And so even at the very highest levels, what I have done in the Trump administration is I take the president's executive orders, and with Attorney General Bondi, we bring life to that. And so now our Jewish communities, our Jewish students, and these crooked anti-Semitic, rotten left-wing, Antifa-style, free Palestine adjacent school districts are going to have an attorney general who's already been vetted and trusted to partner with the Trump administration to bring all of those resources to bear to smack down Plano ISD. And that's exactly what I'm going to do when I'm attorney general.
Thank you, Senator Huffman.
Yes, and I think the question was, would we be willing to stand with the Plano families?
Yes,
Yes.
stand up and make a statement.
Absolutely. I think that all of us have made it very clear that anti-Semitism cannot be tolerated any way, shape, or form. My experience over the years has shown me that you have to watch school districts because they will creep in and they will try to make their own rules, have their own interpretation of the laws, and that simply cannot be tolerated. I don't think I realize the Department of Justice is investigating, and that's a great thing. But I think this is something that we should be able to handle in Texas and put a stop to this as not part of our culture. It's not part of our values. And we just need to make a statement that this is wrong and aggressively pursue that this is stopped throughout the state of Texas. That would be my position. I'm happy to stand with a family who is being bullied or ostracized in some way. It's just simply wrong. There's right and wrong, and that is wrong.
Okay, we're doing the 1 minute again, and so we're turning to Mr. Rice. There's lawfare being used against President Trump, AG Paxton, J6ers, lawfare, everyday citizens. This is done by government officials, yet DAs refuse to prosecute local government corruption. Who is responsible when the DAs refuse?
This is similar to the judicial coup that I talked about earlier. In our system, for better or for worse, in my opinion, for worse, the district attorneys in our state rule their little fiefdoms like petty tyrants. They're completely unaccountable to the rule of law, and they have unlimited funding to bankroll their re-election campaigns. And yet, the Attorney General has a very special common law power that, watch, my opponents will start talking about this on the campaign trail now that I mention it. It's something called a quo warranto action. It's where the Attorney General can bring on behalf of the state a cause of action against these rotten, crooked, derelict district attorneys for serial violations of their oath of office, serial violations of the statutes, serial violations of the Texas Constitution, and urge and petition a court to remove them from office. On day one of my Attorney General administration, I am going to seek removal of multiple district attorneys around this state, wielding the full power of the AG's office to do so.
Senator Huffman, again, the question basically was about lawfare being used against Trump, Paxton, J6ers. Who's responsible when the district attorneys refuse to do the right thing?
Well, we have laws in place that can remove district attorneys who refuse to follow the law by committing official misconduct. And when they have rules and they make statements that say they're not going to prosecute certain classes of offenses, they can be removed from office. Again, that's a bill that I wrote and I passed about 4 years ago, along with Representative David Cook from up near Denton in the Waco area. He and I worked on this. We worked with prosecutors to get this bill passed. I will say that the prosecutors in the state have a lot of political power, and many times you have to work with them. I actually disagree with Mr. Rice. I don't think the vast majority of prosecutors are crooked and bad. I actually think.
I didn't say that.
Well,
I didn't say that's majority.
thank you. I believe most of them are very good, honorable people. Are there some awful ones that need to be taken down? Absolutely. And will I fight to remove the bad ones? Absolutely. But I'm not willing to cast some huge, disparity over most of the prosecutors in Texas because I don't believe that's true.
Which I didn't do.
Senator Middleton.
Again, going back to the foundation of our constitutional republic, you're talking about lawfare being waged against people. Well, that's also, we're talking about local elected officials as well, who are ignoring the law, who are incompetent. Y'all know Judge Lena Hidalgo. Have y'all heard of her before in Harris County?
Yeah.
Boo. Yeah, boo, exactly. That's right. I changed the law this session to hold people like that accountable. I knew what was happening. They were going from a George Soros local elected official. A petition for removal was filed in a George Soros district court. There was not accountability. I knew that. I saw the problem. I'm playing the long game here to hold people accountable. So what did I do? I changed the law. Now, you know what? It's filed with the presiding judge of the Administrative Judicial Region. That's an Abbott appointee, a Republican. So these crooked Democrat elected officials, they don't have home field advantage anymore. They're going to a Republican judge with a Republican prosecutor in a nearby Republican county to be held accountable. Accountability is what matters here the most. And that's exactly what I've been fighting for as a lawmaker in the legislature and as your attorney general, next attorney general.
I'm jumping around these questions, but I believe the next one, Senator Huffman goes first. And there are a lot of questions here, so I'm trying to collapse some of them together. They're talking about the issue of medical freedom in Texas, medical liberty, and where you stand out in the legislature and basically how strongly does Texas need to fight to expand protection of medical freedom in Texas, especially with respect to vaccines, I assume, but
I think that people should have the freedom and the right to make their own choices about what's right for them when they take care of their health. I mean, I think it's a pretty simple answer. And I think that through some of the legislation we passed about vaccine mandates, and other issues that, we're moving in that direction. I don't think it's a big question or a big issue. Absolutely, it should be a personal choice. No one should be able to mandate, what course of medical care that you take.
Including vaccine
Including
mandates.
vaccines, yeah.
Okay, Senator Middleton.
This has been an issue near and dear to my heart. I watched what happened during COVID. People were threatened with their jobs. They were closing churches. They were telling people that they had to get the shot or choose between their livelihood and ability to feed their family. That was wrong. That is un-Texan. That is un-American. And I took on the vaccine lobby myself, not behind anyone else I worked for, myself. I wasn't given orders to do that by someone else. I did it myself and led. And that's why I authored and passed the strongest ban on COVID vaccine mandates. But not only that, a bill that was actually even harder to pass, and that is the duty to treat bill, where Medicaid patients are being denied care because they weren't vaccinated in Texas. We got that done, got it over the finish line, because look, you shouldn't be discriminated against based on your vaccination status. That's your sincerely held beliefs. That's your religious beliefs. That's your medical choice. That is your decision. That is not government's decision to make it for you.
And Mr. Wright's medical liberty vaccine mandates.
Well, I'll just talk about my record litigating on this issue. As Attorney General Ken Paxton's offensive coordinator, I ran all the plays against Big Pharma, against school districts, against state agencies that were mandating vaccines, against your very own shutdown king, Clay Jenkins. The number of COVID cases I personally brought against Clay Jenkins is more law in the civil side than either of my opponents have litigated combined over their entire lifetimes. I have brought lawsuits against the Biden administration, Health and Human Services Commission, over abuses of EMTALA, emergency medicine, against the collusion of big government and big tech who were conspiring to not only suppress you, but mislead you about the efficacy of vaccines and the side effects of those vaccines. You have been lied to, not only by local Democrat government officials, but by Big Pharma and its cooperation with the Biden administration. And I have litigated, and won again and again to protect your integrity and your medical freedom. And we're just going to turn it up to 11 when I'm Attorney General.
Senator Middleton, there are questions here I'm lumping together about cleaning up the voter rolls. And basically, do we have a problem with voter rolls in Texas? And I know you can't pass law as Attorney General, but as Attorney General, do you think there should be a stronger effort to clean the voter rolls?
Absolutely. We've seen it here locally. We've seen it in Harris County. We've seen it all over the state. By law, they're supposed to clean out the voter rolls every 30 days. But we know that's not always happening, right? And that's why it was so important to restore the Attorney General's power to prosecute any violation of election law. It doesn't have to just be voter fraud. It doesn't have to be election fraud, any violation. Because that's how you restore that accountability, is you hold those accountable for not following our election laws. I've seen it again and again and again. I'll never forget. I beat an incumbent, knocked on 6,000 doors to get elected in 2018. And in that general election, I was knocking on doors. And someone came to the door and I said, "Hey, I'd love to earn your vote." They said, "Oh, I'm not a Republican." Excuse me? I said, "Oh yeah, someone paid me to vote in the Republican primary against you." It's happening. It's happening here. And it is widespread, and I will hold them accountable with this new tool that we have passed in the legislature and got the job done to restore the AG's power to prosecute and overturn the Stevens decision, which removed that from our Attorney General.
Mr. Wright, especially focusing on the cleaning up of the voter rolls, what do you think should be done?
As someone who has supervised one of the many divisions I was responsible for was our election integrity division. This is the division that Senator Middleton wants to create. It exists. I've led it, and I've led the fight
It doesn't
against.
have law enforcement powers.
It does now, thanks to y'all, both of you, dragging your feet on reinstating those powers to the Attorney General until you waited when Paxton said he wasn't running for re-election. That's exactly what happened. Now, I've led those divisions, and I know better than anybody. I'm here to tell you, our voter rolls are rotten to the core. Rotten to the core. They got to be cleaned up with bleach. Now, what's unique about the era in which we live is because President Trump is in office, he most recently shared their various databases that allowed our election integrity officials to then quickly or more readily identify the duplicates, the dead people, and all these other things. And as a result of that partnership, Attorney General Ken Paxton has brought down many, many, many new indictments. As the person who served in the Trump administration, I stand uniquely prepared to partner with those forces. And someone who has led election integrity troops into battle, I'm ready to clean up those rolls to give you all the confidence that your elections aren't stolen.
Senator Huffman, voter roll cleanup.
Yeah, absolutely. We need to clean up our voter rolls. We need to work with the Secretary of State's office, and we need to work with local election officials to make sure that that gets done. The laws are in place. Now we need someone to enforce it. And I'll say to Mr. Rice, if he's been leading this big battle against election integrity, y'all really did a bad job because there has not been enforcement. So there is a lot to be done, and we will fight to make sure that the elections are secure and that the voter rolls are purged and are accurate. Thank you.
There are a lot of questions here about elections. I'm going to follow up with the next one, and then where I know maybe one more, and then they get to make these three make closing statements. But another one related to elections: should the Secretary of State of Texas be allowed to waive election laws that are being violated? And that is first to Mr. Wrights. Should the Secretary of State be allowed to waive election laws?
No. No, she shouldn't be able to waive election laws. And I'm just going to take my 50 seconds because maybe I don't fully understand the question. I mean, the answer is no. But I want to address this closed primary issue. The Republican Party needs to close these primaries. This is a First Amendment free association issue. I stand with Attorney General Ken Paxton, the chairman of our party, Abraham George, and the Texas GOP in saying, close the dang primaries. Why in the world do the state laws on the books that they haven't done anything about allow Democrats to vote in our elections? There's something called freedom of association. And if we Republicans want to keep Republican business to Republicans only, we've got a First Amendment right to do it. The Constitution gives you that right. And on those constitutional grounds, I'm going to continue to fight to close these primaries. If we don't get it done, I'm going to do it when I'm AG.
Thanks, Senator Huffman. I want to actually add to the question. We have the, it's a quick 1 minute, but the question first was about, well, I want to add on to the point that Mr. Rice was just making about whether or not we should close primaries. And then the other piece of it was, should the Secretary of State be allowed to waive election laws? And the reason that's being asked is apparently that's what's been occurring. But should she be allowed to waive? And, what do you think about closing primaries?
I don't think that any appointed official should be able to change the laws or waive the laws or interpret the laws to their own liking. Basically, I mean, the law is the law. As far as open primaries, unfortunately, the law now is that there is a somewhat closed primary in the sense that you all know this, that if you vote in the regular primary, you can't vote in a different runoff primary. And so there are some, swearing you have to sign that you're not going to vote in the runoff. And it's probably a good idea to do so. My position is I would like to see a conservative legislature pass the bill and do it in a way that it does not alienate voters, good Republican voters, because I don't like the concept of some woke judge somewhere being the one who is the arbitrator here and makes the rules about how this is going to be implemented. I would like to see the legislature do that.
Where can we find legislators to do that?
And so that would be my position on it. I think it's something that we have to look at the data very carefully. We do not want Democrats voting in our primary. I absolutely agree. But I think we have to be very careful about alienating voters or turning away voters that people like President Trump relied upon to get elected to the presidency. And that's my statement. Thank you.
Okay. Senator Middleton.
Well, that's an easy question. No, the Secretary of State should not be allowed to waive election law. But second of all, that example I gave earlier of a Democrat voting against me in a Republican primary, that is why I was the only person in the Senate and only one of 2 of 181 that filed the bill to close our primaries in Texas. And I worked with our chairman on that, Abraham George. This is not right, what they're doing. They're costing conservatives their election. We've seen this again and again. And look, we don't need their influence, just like we don't need to cave into what they want in the legislature or anywhere else, whether that's the local level, the county level, the city level. It's called you'll get nothing and like it. The majority rules here. Period. That's how it works, and that's why I also fought for the big, beautiful map to draw 5 more Republican seats. Help deliver that America First agenda in Congress.
Okay, this is the last of our questions and Q&A, and after that, each of our candidates here will be making a 1-minute closing statement. But the last question is, I'm just trying to watch the time here. The last question is, so we all have heard the incredible commitment that would soon to be Comptroller Huffines or candidate Huffines is making regarding doging Texas, and that's going to be doging Texas, rooting out corruption. So the question is, what are you going to do as Attorney General to defend that kind of the doging of Texas by Comptroller Huffines if he is to win this primary, then the election, to back him up as Attorney General? Do you agree with the agenda, and what can you do? And I believe, who knows where we are going first? Okay, I think you just finished speaking, May, so that would make Senator Huffman.
I would be happy to work with Don on these issues. I work with him in the Senate, and we passed some good legislation working together. We don't want corruption in any way, shape, or form, right? If corruption is happening, it needs to stop. If you remember back, probably 10 years ago, do you remember the Travis County DA used to be in charge of corruption? That was a joke. That's when they indicted Republicans, Rick Perry, Kay Bailey Hutchinson, for stupid things like use the copier machine or something that they weren't supposed to. It was completely out of control. And I passed a public integrity bill, reformed it, took it away from the Travis County DAs, brought it back to the local counties where the local prosecutors, where if you were as an elected official or a public official were corrupt, you were brought back to your voters and you had to stand before them. They were going to try you. They were going to serve on the jury. So yes, should public officials or anyone who is being corrupt be held accountable? Absolutely. And do we need to scrub? We scrub the budget all the time. Could it be scrubbed more? Absolutely. And we welcome scrutiny and we welcome ideas to make Texas work more efficiently, more effectively, and more conservatively. Thank you.
Senator Middleton.
This is a very simple premise. Government doesn't have any money. It's all taxpayer money.
Yes.
That's why Doge is so important. And look, we love cutting waste, fraud, and abuse, right? We love that. But what about holding those accountable that have committed the waste and the fraud and the abuse? And that's exactly what I want to do as Attorney General, is hold those accountable that are committing that waste, fraud, and abuse. And we've got to root that out. And we got to find out how it's occurring, because they're blocking us on open records right now. How many of you have a hard time getting a hold of open? Everyone raise your hand, right? If you've had any interaction with local government, you've got a hard. The reason why? Taxpayer-funded lobbyists are training local elected officials to conceal this.
Exactly.
You got to turn on the lights for the roaches to scatter. How do you turn on the lights when they're hiding the documents from you, right? That's why this is so important to me. And look, we're going to need additional tools in this, right? Every single session, the AG comes to the legislature to ask for additional tools. I've got endorsements from 52 Trump-endorsed legislators. My opponents combined have 2 total between all of them. Who can get the job done for you when we're protecting Texas?
Mr. Wright.
Together,
We're good.
What?
You're good.
Together, Comptroller Huffines and I are going to doge the hell out of Texas. I can't wait to do it. Now, let me tell you something. This man may not know it yet. This man may not know it yet. He is going to get sued so many times, it's going to be incredible. And he needs an attorney general who's got experience representing state agencies, representing our interests in court, in state and federal court, up and down the chain. And I'm here to tell you, brother, you're a businessman. I'm a lawyer. I'm here and I'm excited to represent you and the comptroller's office because the litigation is coming. It's going to be bloody. It's going to be ruthless. You're going to have a whole bunch of nasty, fat and happy, entitled bureaucrats that are going to be so mad when he cuts them. And then I represent the state in litigation against them when they come crawling back for their pensions and for their paychecks and for their fat government sinecures. It ain't going to happen. And under my watch, I'm going to provide the legal framework and the litigation representation to ensure that we doge Texas effectively and in a way that sticks in court.
All right, with that, I thank everyone who sent in questions because there are many more, but I think we're pretty much out of time. We're going to turn to closing statements for each of our candidates who are still here, and they are going to go in the order of, I know what it is. Okay, so we're going to start with Senator Middleton. Your closing statement, 1 minute, on your candidacy to be our next Attorney General.
This is a show me, don't tell me business. How tired are we of being told what people are going to do? You've got to show us the results. I fought the woke left's radical gender ideology. I won. I authored and passed the Save Women's Sports Act and the Women's Privacy Act, the strongest in America. Not only that, I fought the atheists, defeated them, won, put prayer back in our public school and the 10 Commandments back on the walls of our classrooms. I fought against those that are protecting our foreign adversaries and got the law passed that stops China from buying our land out from underneath us and designates cartels as terrorist organizations, and also fought for the laws that hold Sharia law accountable, make it illegal in Texas, and the enforcement tools to root out that Islamification. But look, this is a leadership position. I've run companies. I've started companies. I'm an oil and gas attorney. You have to have someone to sign the front of a paycheck that knows where the buck stops and that knows how to run a 4,000 person agency with 750 lawyers and can hire the best talent. And I have that executive level leadership to get the job done and advance the conservative movement, because that's what it's about.
Mr. Wrights, 1 minute closing.
The first time I ever swore an oath to support and defend the Constitution of the United States was when I was a brand new second lieutenant. And I raised my right hand and I said, I, Aaron Wrights, do solemnly swear to support and defend the Constitution of the United States against all enemies, foreign and domestic. Now, back then, I used to think primarily about our foreign enemies. And let me be clear, we do have foreign enemies, and I do still think about them. But in those intervening 20 years, my life experiences at the highest levels litigating on behalf of our values, I'm here to tell you, the greater threat to our Constitution are the domestic enemies right in our midst. President Trump trusted me to lead legal teams to fight those enemies. Senator Cruz trusted me. Attorney General Ken Paxton trusted me to lead those teams. The Chief Justice of the Texas Supreme Court trusted me to lead those teams. And now my ask to you as a candidate is to trust me to support and defend the Constitution of the United States against all enemies, foreign and domestic, as your next Attorney General. My name's Aaron Wrights. Thank you very much, and God bless.
And Senator Joan Huffman, closing statement.
Thank you. There has never been an attorney general in the state of Texas who has been a former prosecutor with extensive litigation experience, over 100 jury trials. There's never been a former attorney general who has been a criminal district court judge. There's never been a former attorney general who is a conservative state senator who has served for 16 years with integrity, with dignity, and has passed major pieces of legislation, conservative legislation. voter ID, campus free speech, bail reform. I'm in charge of writing a $324 billion budget, which means I got to work closely with many legislators. There's never been an attorney general with that background, and I have all three. I have unique qualifications that make me a fighter for you. I will fight for you. That's what I've done. I've been doing it since 1981. I have worked tirelessly, fearlessly, and I will work for you. You can trust me to do that, and I ask for your vote. Thank you.
I think we should all give just one more round of applause to all three of these candidates.
Yeah, amazing evening. Thank you all so much for all the candidates who are here tonight and for your thoughtful answers and for everyone who submitted questions. Don't go anywhere just yet. Give one more round of applause to all of our candidates, everybody. And also, let's give a round of applause to our moderator, Debbie Georgiado. She did a fantastic job. Thank you, Debbie. Make sure you go to America Can We Talk and check out her show. It's fantastic. Of course, tonight's event would not be possible without the people and organizations who stand behind events like this. So I want to give another shout out to our platinum level sponsor, Don Huffines, for Texas Comptroller, and his whole family for being here. I want to also thank all of our other sponsors, including the Dallas Express, Michael Slaughter for Collin County Commissioner Precinct 2, Woody Huffines for Collin County Commissioner Precinct 4, Michael Thorson for House District 67, and Michael Padilla for Collin County Precinct Chair 166. Round of applause for all of our sponsors. Big thank you tonight to our community partners as well. And just bear with me, there's quite a few of them who made this possible. Dallas County Republican Party, Denton County Republican Party, Collin County Republican Party, Israel 365, Patriot-owned businesses, Hispanic Republican Club of North Texas, Park Cities Republican Women, Collin County Republican Assembly, Capel Republican Club, Golden Corridor Republican Women, Grapevine Republican Club, and MCBA. Big round of applause to our community partners, a great conservative organization. Also, a shout out to our amazing security teams, Shomer Texas Security and Paragon Security Solutions for keeping us all safe here tonight. And last but certainly not least, let's give a round of applause for all of our amazing volunteers who takes a village. So give them a round of applause for our volunteer team. So a couple of quick announcements before we get to our raffle here tonight. Just pull up my slide here. So we got an exciting one coming up next. It's actually our Lights and Liberty annual Hanukkah party. I hope you all will be joining us on December 16th at the beautiful Glen Eagles Country Club in Plano. We have incredible speakers coming. Dana Lash and Shabbos Kestenbaum are going to be speaking. Live music, gourmet food and drink. It's got to be one of the best events of the year. It's one of my favorite times of the year. Hanukkah and Christmas time is always a blast. So make sure you get your tickets. It's going to be a great time to network with fellow conservatives, like-minded conservatives. So make sure you scan the QR code on the screen or get a flyer. Go to our website, AmericanJewishConservatives.com. Get your tickets. Tickets are selling out pretty quickly, so make sure you get on that. And today's actually the last day of our early bird special, so make sure you get your tickets today. And then also, we're excited to be joining our partners at DCRP for their Hanukkah and Christmas party as well. Celebrate the Christmas and Hanukkah season in black tie style with dinner, fellowship, and purpose on December 6th. Ticket proceeds will go towards fueling the fight against child trafficking and building strength for conservative victories in 2026. You can scan the QR code there on the screen or simply visit their website, dallasgop.org. Join them, and it's going to be a fantastic evening as well. So a lot of exciting Hanukkah and Christmas events coming up in the very near future. And then without further ado, I'd like to ask my friend Allie Raskin, where is she? Come on up, Allie, and she's going to quickly tell us a little bit about the important paper ballot election initiative taking place in Dallas County, which you may have